500 years ago, he washed ashore the sole survivor of a shipwreck. And upon the skull of the man who killed his dad, he said, "I'm mad, I must eradicate piracy, injustice."
G'day everyone, this is X-Band the Phantom Podcast. Our website is chroniclechamber.com and you can subscribe to our podcast via YouTube or through your favourite podcast apps. Do not forget to give us a rating on your podcast app and tell a mate about us. This is episode 226, our July and August 2022 Comics and News podcast. I'm Steve. I'm with Jermayn. How are you, Jermayn?
Good, mate. My team lost again. Cold, wet winter's day, but it's a great way to end the weekend talking to some Phantom with some Phantom buddies. So looking forward to tonight.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we're going to have to make that Phantom buddies. Dan wasn't able to make us tonight. So, Dan, when you listen to it, g'day, mate. I hope things are going well. And, yeah. And I think Brisbane went all right. Hawthorn did all right. It's just West Coast that let the team down.
Yeah. Also, quickly, just want to say a big shout out to, I believe his name is Will. He's a Perth guy who was talking to actually a work colleague of mine, and he was telling me about this awesome podcast he listens to, and like he didn't know that we had mutual friends, and he was talking about how he's really enjoying the podcast. That it was with the Phantom, and then my mate was like, "Hang on, that's not Jermayn by any chance, is it?" And so, look, we are reaching the masses. So that's what I was saying. Tell a mate about us. Yep. Jump on and share it along with everyone. And Will, as you can see, I've added more artwork on the wall. That was one of the things he said, is that he wanted the wall to be completed. So that has now been completed. A little bit more room to go on the door, but we'll get there.
Well, if I can put extensions on my house and get my own little room where I can do this in as well, rather than my car, which I get lots of talk about, that'll be phenomenal. Before we actually get into the Phantom stuff, and I know this isn't on the run sheet, but I've got my copy over here. Just want to shout out to friend of the podcast and Phantom author and illustrator extraordinaire, Paul Mason, whose Kickstarter campaign has brought out Flock. So this is here now. If you backed it on Kickstarter, maybe you've got it in your hot little hands now. There's a ripper of a yarn. I really enjoyed it. And I can't wait to read part 2.
Yes. While we're talking about Paul, we will be having a podcast with him talking about his latest story, which is the Mass Marvel sequel as well. So it'll be a standalone podcast. So that one will hit your airwaves soon. There's a few others that we have already recorded that we've got in the pipeline, but we'll discuss that at the end of the podcast. I think we'll get straight into it.
Yep.
I think, Stephen, we've given ourselves, you and I, to talk for an hour and a half because we've got about a half hour full of other reviews from the other guys. So let's see how we go, eh?
Yeah, I reckon we can get it down to an hour. I reckon 45 minutes. Let's get the short, sharp, and sweet, succinct. That's what we're renowned for, being succinct. It's taken us 2 minutes just to say that.
Yeah, maybe before Dan was involved.
Anyway, so Frew has, since our last podcast, or Comics and News podcast, has released 3 issues, Frew 1922 through to 24. The third one being the replica series. And 22 and 23, they wrap up the Belle Epoque series written by Pidde Andersson with illustrations by Percy Ochoa. Hopefully I pronounced your name correctly there, Percy. We'll start off with number 1 there, Murder at Maxims. Well, once again, there we go. It's flashed up on the screen. You can see that if you're on YouTube. I do like how Frew have done the thing with the covers, like run a theme with the covers with the artists. That's been fantastic. We've been able to see some brand new artists,
all first-time artists,
all first. For the Phantom.
Yeah.
And all female artists as well. So well done, Frew, for getting these new artists out and onto our shelves and into our collections. So this cover was done by, it's going to escape me, Ali Faye has done this one. And just looking at it, you can see it's action-packed. You don't really know what the story is about, but once you read the story, you can see it's like a scene lifted from it. That La Babe, I think, was the name of the bad guy here. Cunning little devil he was, master of disguise. You never know who it could be, and it was the person of least expected would be La Babe, and it was a good little whodunit and how we're going to get out of this type of adventure. Just a fun little way to spend 20 or so minutes in Paris. If you're not up to date, this is the 19th Phantom on his honeymoon with Jane in Paris. They were trying to have a nice holiday where adventures just keep coming onto their doorstep, and this one just happened to be at the exclusive restaurant Maxims. I think everyone was trying to get into Maxims, weren't they, Jermaine?
Yeah, and then it starts off at the gardens, which
right.
I will admit I can't remember exactly where these gardens were.
Royal Palace or something, maybe.
Yeah. Now, one thing that we've also talked about with who's a friend of the podcast who actually lives in Paris, is we're going to try and get him to do a bit of an exploration of some of the places that have been visited in this story, because it's
that'd be nice.
Yeah, we did it once with Joe Douglas visited the Battle of Malta.
Yes, I remember that.
And he did kind of like a behind the scenes of the Battle of Malta. Like he went through like the ruins where the Phantom walked and everything like that. And that was really greatly received. And so we've asked who's on holidays at the moment, but when he gets back, so it probably won't be for probably another month or two, but hopefully before the end of the year, we'll have a nice little article which will go through some of these areas like Maxims and Moulin Rouge is another one which probably most people know about that, and some of these other like hotels and areas as well.
Yeah. And they're talking about walking the same path as Marie. Oh, not probably the same path, but the same grounds as Marie Antoinette. As they're going through the gardens there.
I like this bad guy. I really do.
Doesn't say much, but his actions speak louder than words, eh?
Pidde's done a great job at introducing us to some unique bad guys. And yeah, I really like this person's quite ruthless, poisons the inspector, kidnaps people and stuff like that. But look, I really I've enjoyed this series overall. The thing that, and I've said, we've got a great podcast with Pidde Andersson, which is 224 or 222, something along those lines, where he talks a lot about these stories. I love how we're learning so much more about the 19th and Jane, the 19th Phantom and Jane, his wife. And I think I would love to see Frew, and maybe even Team Fantomen, do this a little bit more often, where they do, every year, they kind of focus on a certain Phantom and explore a little bit more about, their backstory, about their wife, about their kids, about the supporting characters and stuff like that. Because for a lot of them, we might see one story every 5 years and you don't really know much about them.
Gives an opportunity to really flesh it out. So, like we know, was it the second or third who was in with Shakespeare? We've got the 19th here, that's not a bad idea, Jim. I like that idea. I could run with that.
Yeah, I love the ending of this where you've got the guy caught up on the windmill.
Yeah, it was a funny one. It's a fun story.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny. Then you've got the cat, the cat at the end, and it's just a good, fun story.
Yeah. It was backed up with a story by Andrew Constant and Jason Paulos, but I think we'll hang off to that until we finish 1923. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, no worries, mate. That sounds good.
Okay. So 1923, we wrap up the Phantom's honeymoon in Paris with the Gargoyle of Notre Dame. Now, when I saw this when you put the thing up,
I'm getting
when I saw the cover on the screen, on the shelves, at the comic shop, I knew straight away that that Notre Dame had something to do with it, even before I saw the title. And I know that because the wonderful the rose window there, and Sal Voluto
Yes.
did a piece which has got the rose window from
Mm.
Notre
One
Dame.
best cover, I believe, the year it was published as well, because I think when we did the interview with Sal, he was actually wearing that T-shirt.
Ah, right. So, and as we all know, the Phantom has his own little hideaway in Notre Dame. Oh, yeah, in the Notre Dame Cathedral, and he was taking Jane there to go check it out.
Mm.
And it's not your really romantic getaway, the old hideaway in Notre Dame. It's fairly basic, which Jane actually makes a note of it. What more do you need? You just need a bench and a table. That's all you need, isn't it? If you just ask.
Should we make mention that the cover artist was Colleen Doran as well?
We should very well, seeing as I just spent a couple of minutes thinking that I really like the cover. I really like the detail that she put into the rose window there.
Yeah. She's done it. It's a simple cover in the sense that it's a static picture of the Phantom. You got the gargoyles on the side, and then you've got the beautiful mosaic in the background. But I think it's effective.
Simple and effective. I think it's rather bold.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But look, again, it's an interesting bad person. Well, I guess you'll call it a bad person because
got an interesting story.
Yeah.
This bad person. You're kind of on her side, but she hasn't got all the details. But I like this the page that you've put it on. I don't know if anyone's a Doctor Who. Actually, I know that some listeners are a Doctor Who fan because I was just talking about to them the other day. But this bad guy, the way she goes about it, really reminds me of Doctor Who episode about the Weeping Angels. It's called Blink. Anyone who wants to watch their first episode of Doctor Who, go watch that. I think it's David Tennant's season 3. I think maybe season 4 of David Tennant's run with the Doctor. Anyway, it just reminded me of the Weeping Angels. This Gargoyle character doesn't need to do much, but
just the real fear, and it's a Phantom. It's a real Phantom trope as well. Is that the Phantom uses the thunder or the fear, and he doesn't even have to say anything. It installs fear into the bad guys.
The mere name of the Phantom.
Yeah, freeze the blood of tigers and all those wonderful old jungle sayings that we love. But I really enjoyed the bad person or anti-hero or whatever you want to call them in this story.
It's not really like they're a bad guy. It just happens to they're using the bad stuff.
has done bad things for the right purposes to try and bring justice to a bad situation, but she's gone about it the wrong way.
Yeah.
Look,
and she was misinformed in the first place.
Yeah, I like what she's done. And I've said it before, but I'm really enjoying Jane's character development in this story. And just in the whole series, we've got, we know she's a strong person from the first time we met her in the Adventures of Lucy Carey. And then this backs it up. So,
And she's more than just a footnote, isn't she? And I think at the end of this story, it says to be continued in, was it? I'll get the right number. Well, you'll probably get it before I do it.
We're going straight to the end.
To be continued in The Prisoner of Marrakesh, Frew 764.
Yeah.
I thought that was a wonderful
and that's another good thing that Pidde has done quite well is, this is it here if you're on YouTube, is that he's married a previous story that's been published into here. And then there's also the story about how the Phantom got the room in Notre Dame in the first place. That's been explained before and stuff like that. Now,
it's a nice little link in.
Yeah, now I've got a query that I want to call out to Phantom fans. Now, I believe, but I cannot find the issue to save my life or the story, is that a room in Notre Dame was first introduced in a Lee Falk story, but it was, so if anyone out there can find what that Lee Falk story was, where it was first introduced, please let me know, because I get a sneaky feeling that it was actually done by Lee Falk, but it was only done once, and then Team Fantomen has taken it and ran with it. Yeah. So
I must admit, I thought it was a Falk idea.
Yeah.
Now be careful. Don't show any spoilers about what happens with. Oh, you've showed the spoiler.
All right, we'll go back to this one. We'll go back to Wolves in London, Part 1 and Part 2.
So Wolves in London by the Australian creative team, Andrew Constant and Jason Paulos. Short little scenes here, or short little stories. I think altogether probably about 10 pages altogether now over the 2 issues. The first issue, you get the idea there's a werewolf. You've picked that one up quickly, and while reading this, you reckon the gunslinger is on the hunt for the werewolf, and it will be able to say what's going on. The Phantoms just happen to be in London at the same time and has come across the werewolf, and some wonderful art there too.
Yeah,
I'm just looking at the
page here. On page, what would it be? 30-31 is some great artwork. Yeah. Even though 30 doesn't actually feature the Phantom, the fact that it's a full page and everything like that, it is a great. Again, if you're on YouTube, you'll be able to see this. If you're listening to us while you're on audio, you just have to take our word for it. 30,
and 32 is where I just stopped as well.
32,
yeah.
33, the full page of the werewolf facing the Phantom.
Yeah,
with the
just so action packed. It's
Now, I'm going to admit I'm not a huge werewolf, Dracula, that type of fan. So I'm finding it harder to get into this story because, and I think that was partly the reason why I didn't enjoy the Frankenstein graphic novel story as much either, is because it's just not my cup of tea.
Fair enough. Yeah. Actually, I thought it was going to be like, was it a Raven story just published recently where the bad guys were dressed up as werewolves? Yeah. So I thought there was going to be a link into that, but no, it's an actual werewolf.
Yeah, which you kind of learn about in 1923.
Yeah, in 1923, we realised that he's not just hunting the werewolf; he's actually, her husband, and but whether he's hunting it or trying to keep people safe or trying to find a cure, we don't know about that yet. But we do know he packs a very big gun.
Yeah. It's an interesting, because in this issue you kind of learn the what do you call it? Yeah, the origin. Yes, of the two of them. And I think this is probably where it kind of loses me a little bit, is that I'm not sure I like that type of stuff in my Phantom.
That's okay.
I don't mind it when it's kind of on the edge of like, is it really a werewolf or is it not? I think there was Hans Lindell did a story. I think it was Donny Aveniel did a story as well, where I think it was the Castle of Evil. From memory, Mikael has done an actual review of this story on one of our past podcasts. It's in that grey zone of where you're not sure whether they're actually a werewolf or not. So I can live with that, in the, kind of like the Gladiator story of Cy Barry and Lee Falk, where, even at the end, the Phantom's like, was he telling the truth or not? And it's kind of up to the reader to make that decision. I can live with that, but where it's going so far, I'm not completely sold yet.
See, I don't mind it. It's in quotation mark, a backup story. It's a short. Yeah. It's a kind of like an outlier story, a bit of fantasy. And you're either going to like it or you're not. There's probably not going to be any grey area in the middle. But I'm keen to see how this story pans out. I'm keen to see the origins of his little wolf necklace that the gunslinger has around his neck. So I don't like the werewolf story. I'm keen to see how it gets resolved.
I like how you say about it's a backup story, so it can be kind of like an outliner.
Yeah, you can have a bit of fun with it. Like, it doesn't need to strict canon. You can have a bit of a fantasy Phantom every now and then.
Yeah. And I think as a backup, it's the perfect opportunity to be able to do something like that. Is, you can have a bit of a play. Like, let's be honest, the futuristic fandom of the fans becoming a robot, that is exactly the perfect way for something like that. It's a backup. If you don't like it, you just don't read those last 4 or 5 pages. And then if you do like it, you tell Dudley about it, and then he gets more stories created.
Yeah.
And I
don't think you can lose.
Yeah, I think that's a brilliant way of doing that.
So very good. 2 very good issues there, Frew. I really enjoyed both of those. I thought they were fun. A nice breakaway from anything serious, and we all know there's a lot of serious things happening in the world today, and so those were a nice, relief from the world.
And comics should be that. It's at the end of the day, it's a comic. It's
that's right.
We're a bunch of
escapism.
Growing rapidly older middle-aged guys who are getting hair where they shouldn't get, and hair turning different color,
and losing
it. But at the end of the day, you have a bit of fun.
It's a comic. That's
you
right.
have a comic. You enjoy it. You read it whether you're on the toilet, whether you're at your lunchroom, when you're at work, or on the bus. You can have that 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour, have a bit of fun, read it, put it in the collection, and then hopefully, maybe your kids can pick it up as well.
Rightio. So I don't know about 1924. I haven't got my issue of that. Are the stories in that one fun as well, Jermaine?
Okay, so
the Lee Falk ones.
Yeah, so it's a replica edition. It's great to see all the replica editions now having new covers. That's something that we've pushed really heavy on this podcast. And there's been a lot of fans who have jumped onto that and said that, everyone should be a different cover as well. And that is now happening. So
cool. Have you got the cover for this one up?
Not up, no. But it just goes to show, I'll put it up on for YouTube viewers. It just goes to show that write in, give your feedback, positive and as well as negative, and Frew do listen to you.
Yep.
Sometimes they can make changes, like with this. Sometimes they can't. But if you do not write in, they don't know.
Actually, I do read the letters, and people have been talking about the paper quality.
Yeah. Everyone loves the paper quality.
But didn't it change back for another issue? I can't remember now.
It did. I couldn't really tell the difference. But I will admit, I have been pleasantly surprised that the majority of all the feedback I've seen either in a Frew comic or online has been to keep the paper. So I was, and I think Frew probably were as well, were really nervous about the fact that they were going to get a lot of negative feedback about that. So good work, fans. It makes a better comic. It's better for storage. It's better it ages better. The comic might even be worth more. All round. Please.
We know it's worth more. It's more expensive.
Yeah, but seriously, it's a better comic. We've weighed it on a past podcast. It was like about a 40% difference in weight. Really enjoyed it. So Frew 1924 has got 4 stories in it. Heavily edited because it's a complete mirror of past issues. But the stories are Queen Astra of Trondelli by Lee Falk and Wilson McCoy, which is of a lady who falls in love with the Phantom. They get thrown into an arena. A tiger comes to escape, and the female goes, "Oh, I love the Phantom! I love the Phantom! I love the Phantom!" Tries to rescue. She becomes crippled, but she becomes a reformed leader. Very typical of its age. The Grove of the Sleeping Giant, which is by Lee Falk and Wilson McCoy. These are all by Lee Falk and Wilson McCoy. Grove of the Sleeping Giant, basically, there's a village that believe the big giant's going to lead him to victory. So a big giant comes along, pretends he's the statue, pushes the statue over, leads him to war. The Phantom realizes that he's weak and he can't, and the Phantom defeats him. It's the second or third time we've seen this type of story from Lee Falk. And then it all goes back to victory, and then he becomes a redeemed giant and stuff like that. The Rope People, which is a fun story. It's probably my favourite out of these four, which is the origin story of the Rope People, which is the village. Interestingly enough, the Rope People are the second tribe, or one of two tribes, to be featured in the Phantom movie, but also made the actually no, so the third, because there was the Tuganda people, the Banda, and the Rope People. So, but Tuganda, yeah, well, so yeah,
two
so
of actual
people,
ones from the comics.
yeah, well, there is a Tuganda people in a Lee Fawkes story, but they're more like Pell divers and stuff like that.
Okay.
So same name, different.
Yep.
But you know, well, that's another discussion. Rope People also made the Treehouse. So it's just a fun story. The Phantom has to perform feats.
That's one of the different feats from the history. I remember that story.
Yeah. From memory, it was the 19th or the 20th Phantom. I think it was the 20th Phantom. And then in a later story, he actually marries, or was it the 18th? Or one of those. It was the 18th, 19th, or 20th Phantom. And then they end up marrying, he ends up marrying the person that was captured as well. So it's a slight modification of Lee Fawkes' story, but hey, that always happens. And the Wisdom of Solomon. I'm sure as a scholar yourself, Stephen, you know the story of when Solomon went to the two women who were fighting over the baby. And Solomon said, we'll cut the baby in half. And then the real mother said, no, you keep it. And that was how Solomon identified who the real mother is. Well, Lee Fawkes kind of turns it on its head. Instead of a baby, which is, maybe a bit morbid for a comic, it becomes a river. And Lee Fawkes has a story where the Phantom uses the wisdom of Solomon and divides the river into two, so that way the Longo and the Wambezi will stop fighting over who has rights to use the river. Interestingly enough, it's the second time the giant skull has ever been used.
Oh, is that the one where it comes up out of the ground?
Yes.
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
So that's those stories. Look, they're fun stories. The best two is definitely the Rope People and the Wisdom of Solomon. My favourite is the Rope People. I'm sure if you've been collecting the Phantom for 10 years or more, you've probably got a couple of different versions of this.
And probably the full versions.
Yeah. Look, but let me just say I'm digging the original covers and the pulpy feel of the covers by Glenn Ford as well. So please keep that up, Frew.
Yep. Excellent. Yep. No complaints here. I like them too. All right. So that's taking care of our Australian publications. Now we're off to Scandinavia and Germany. So thanks to Mikael and our new German reviewer, Christian Moller. Please note that we have not forgotten our Indian fans, but Ankit has experienced some technical difficulties, which should be fixed soon. So for our Indian fans, hopefully we'll get something from Ankit soon. All right, take it away, Mikael.
Another Fantomen review with me, Mikael. Issue 1415 of 2022. Kim W. Andersson is not only doing his first full-length Phantom story, but also his first Fantomen cover. And I like it. It has an action shot, it's bright colors, and it stands out towards most of the other covers. After I read a bit on social media, though, someone pointed out that the proportion of the head is a bit weird, and now that someone mentioned it, maybe it does. But yeah, my first impression was that I really enjoyed it, and I think the colors and everything is good. But yeah, maybe not the head then. Then we have the main story that is written by the old Fantomen editor, Mikael Sol, and art by Kim W. Andersson, as we said. Phantom comes back to Sweden, to Almedalen on Gotland, the biggest Swedish island, and every election year, this year is election year, all the big political parties have their talks in Almedalen, and Phantom and Dar from the East and Dark or Duck is there, and he is planning on having a casino open up in Sweden. And I must say that the story is very heavy on humor. Dar himself is more of a comic relief than an actual threat. And I think this divide the opinion of many fans. Myself, I enjoy it, but I wouldn't want all the stories to be this lighthearted. I think the art is great, and I think it's funny. But it's not really the Phantom as we're used to. It's not the mystery and adventure and action in that sense that we're used to. But again, from what I've read online, it seems that a lot of fans did not enjoy this at all. There's a lot of negativity about this story, and other than that, it's also in this Almedalveckan, in the real world, there was actually a murder, so it's not that fun really to think about. And yeah, it's very tragic, of course. But back to the Phantoms comic. After this story, we also get a small article by Robert Amann, who wrote this when the Phantom became a Swede book that got a lot of publicity in Sweden. Also, this story got a lot of publicity, so that's great. All publicity is good publicity, and when we get good publicity, it's even better. Then we get this reprint by Moberg and Lindahl's The King of Chicago, both parts, and with new coloring where everyone gets the right colors, so that's awesome. It's a great story, a great read. The issue is worth it only by reading that story. After that we get, I think it's the last story done by Cyberry. It's The Phantom's World. In Sweden it has a totally different title. And it starts off quite fun, but it makes little sense to me that the pilots would be staying several months while the Phantom is sleeping. And then the Phantom comes back, and Diana and the kids are not even a little bit worried. But yeah, I guess the Phantom is often away for several months without saying a word, but it feels a bit strange. Next week we will get Jakob Habin's first full-length Phantom story, The Valley of the Thousand Graves, with art by Alex Saviuk, and an old Errol reprint, Drama in the Desert. So looking forward to that, and until next time, happy phantoming.
Hi, my name is Chris. I'm from Germany and I review the Phantom #1 from Wick Comics. Just a little info about Wick. It's a one-guy publisher from Germany, and let's start with the first page. Some infos with signing from Ulrich Wick. Then the first, the Claw of Death, all in black and white, but I think it's fantastic work. And this is the second story, The Slaves. And here is some infos from the first, The Claw of Death. It was released in Phantom 216, Bastei Comics, which I can show you here. And if you look, The Claw of Death is the second story. If you like to buy this magazine, it looks like this. And then it is released cut with page 10, panel 1 of page 13. And the slaves were first released in the Bastei Friends Club magazine 50. And the run of this magazine has 700 pieces. And it was released on 16 June 2022. Let's look the Slave comics. The paper is fantastic. It's a high-end magazine. It has 32 pages, and here's a review of magazine number 2, as a preview of magazine number 2, and some more infos about the Tavalla edition. The story was written by Peter Menningen, and it was drawn by Jose Maria Ortiz Tavalla. And then it's a preview of all Phantoms that were released by Wick Comics. Hi, my name is Chris and I review the Wick Comics magazine number 2. It costs €12.50. The Spies from Paris, written by Peter Menningen, drawn by Jose Ortiz Tavalla. We start with some information about the Tavalla edition. And here it starts with Spies from Paris. Again, it is beautiful made. The paper is super. Here it starts a second story, the goddess of the volcano, or death volcano. And here we have the impressum with Wick Comics, story text, like I said, Menningen, drawn by Tavalla. The cover it made was from Ertugrul Edina. Now the Spies from Paris, first time released 25. Juni 1982, and the panel of page 13 was cut. If you want to buy this magazine, oh, wrong one, it is this one, and here we had it. Oops. So if you like, you can buy it on eBay or something like that. So, and the second story is the goddess of the volcano or death volcano. It was released on 1st of April 1983, and the pages 5, 7 and 9 were cut out in the original magazine, which I can show you here. This is the original one with the goddess of the death volcano. If you like to buy it, it's an old Bastei comic. And again, this magazine is in a limited edition of 700, and it was released on 16th of June 2022. And we start with the story of the goddess with the volcano. I think it's awesome. The magazine is awesome. It's a bit expensive if you like that, but what you get is awesome. It's really worth the price. And magazine number 3, and again on the back sides some more informations and the covers from the Wick edition. Hi, my name is Christian from Germany, and I review the Zauberstern comic magazine number 1 for €9.99 from June 2022. It has 108 pages with a poster from Ertugrul Edina, and this is the entrance with just a little info. Then Phantom, the Ghost and the Monster, part 1 of 2. The Secret of the Fishmans. And The Ghost and the Monster ist geschrieben von Andrew Constant and drawn by Giancarlo Caruso. Paintings Flavia Caruso. And here's Frankenstein monster. It's a new comic for this magazine. Here's Phantom. How they met and why he is here now in the future. The paper is really thick and it's good work. Then it's the poster. If you take the poster and hang it on your wall, you miss the comic pages. That's not good. But we had a classic story as well, if I reach it. Yeah, okay. Next part in magazine 2. Then the classic story, The Secret of the Fish People from Epoque. And here Olsen pencils, Frederick inks and Epoque as well. It's an old story, you see it on the painting. I grew up with the old paintings. I like it more, I think that's a new one, but I give him a chance. So, this is why they don't can fish, and the story here is a big boss. But Phantom, and now we go to the end, and here's the new book that I do the review as well, and the back side. Yeah, 108 sides of comics. I like it. Review the Zauberstern Comics Magazine number 2, August 2022. Let's start with intro. Again, some more infos. Then the Ghost and the Monster, part 2 of 2. And the Giants from No Man's Land as a classic story. Let's start. Oh, one-sided poster. And the Ghost and the Monster. Oh Jesus, small written. Written from Andrew Constant, paint Giancarlo Caruso, paints from Flavia Caruso. So here we see the monster with the phantom. It's a long story. Some advertising. Big poster in the inside. Advertising. The Ghost and the Monster continues. And finally, we come to the end. And now it starts with the classic comic from Epoque. Paintings Olsen, inks Fredericks. It's from 1998. You can find it here. Copyright King Futures.com. It's a classic written story. And today I review the Epoque's Phantom from Christian Blees. It's a book about the German the German Phantom comic releases. He took all together and wrote this awesome book. So let's start. This is a signature from Christian Blaise. And here all we got. It's a history of the comics. It cost 30 euros. It has a, like we here say, Vorzugsausgabe. It's a special limited edition, limited run of 249 that I show you later. And we start with the book now. And it first goes with Epoque and the complete comics, all writers and all who done the art. It's the main part that starts with some King Future syndicates with advertising, and it's a really awesome book. Okay, I read it, of course. And season greetings with some infos about the it's greetings for Christmas from Epoque and Remor on to the Phantom fans. Here Wilson McCoy. He did a fantastic job, I think. Cyberries. It's a Phantom cover here. He took all together, and I think it's a fantastic work. Here you see other stories. Then Bill Ligante. Jim Aparo. And Frank Bolle, who did the job for Carlton. Then we have the stories from Italy, because Bastei used stories from Italy, Sweden, United States. Fantomen. Hier nochmal Fantomen. The main part is Chronicle Order of all Phantoms released in Germany, with advertising in the Abendzeitung. It's a newspaper in Germany. Then here in the United States, it's against the Nazis. Here too, Phantom against the Nazis. A story who nobody like here. Then we have Phantom advertising. Then it's Buntes Allerlei. It's mixed comics from the Aller Verlag in Germany, who has Blondie, Rip Corby and Phantom, Hapalon Cassie, and other comics. Then in Germany many stories were cut. Superman were released in Buntes Allerlei. Then here it was Semik Verlag, a story about Semik, then about Mr. Goose, then Wick Verlag with the back cover from every Phantom magazine in Germany. It has his back art. And now Bastei Verlag. The Bastei Verlag has the greatest or the longest run comic here in Germany with 283 comics. This comic was not released here because it's Adolf Hitler in there and so. So we got Phantom Clubausweis and Bastei. If girls were naked, they have covered it up. And on Facebook, Peter Mennigen is also, and he wrote much of the Bastei comics. He wrote. The book has 250 pages. Like I said, 30 euros. And I think it's worth it. And now we see Jackie Drexler, who worked for Bastei. Then we got the pocket books from Phantom. And the non-comics, the romance here. He also released 15 books of the Phantom, which you can all see here. Then we got the smaller editions, where Phantom has some parts of it, or the Inkos Verlag has a limited run of 4 books. They're released here, and 1 book of Hedge Verlag. And oh, it's the Bastei Friends, number 50. This is the first cover from the Wick comic, and that's the cover from the Zauberstern comic. It's now you see all the tables from the works in Germany, how to use it. And now we start with the table 1. It has 20 tables. You can search every released comic here in Germany. It's awesome, really. The pocket books from Bastei. Second run of the pocket books. Phantom Specials, who were all written by Peter Mennigen. You see it here. Who wrote it, who drew it, the name of it. Topics Comics, Carlsen Hedge Inkos. All Wick comics are in. And the Kelter books. The Kelter books were the storybooks here. In it, Then afterward, okay, it's index. If you search something, picture, and we're done. Back cover. And on special request, I do it. It's a limited edition Vorzugsausgabe. It's a limited run of 249. It's the same book. It has a sleeve on it. This is the number 145 of 249. The book is the same stuff, but in Germany we have the Phantom Wedding in Bastei number 100, and it is cut here and it was released. This is Phantom number 100, and it was cut here in Germany, but Mr. Lawrence has the newspaper cut out, and it was now printed in this limited book. It's about the wedding of the Phantom. There's 48 pages, alternate ending, and on the back cover it has a limited number on it. And we're finally done. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Mikael and Christian. Side note, Jermaine, my brother-in-law just happens to be over in Sweden at the moment.
You're getting him to pick up some Phantom comics for you?
I don't know whether I should ask or not. You know, he's away on holidays.
Ask.
Just if you see anything, just get it, bring it back.
Yeah, look, I've just picked. Oh, get him to pick up this one.
What's that one?
This is the latest issue. The review will be up soon. Do you notice the artwork?
Can't see it.
Alex Silviak.
Oh, get it.
Drawing Phantom comics. So it's number 16, 2022. So get your brother or your brother to pick up that one, and then some others.
Send me a photo of that cover so I can send it to him and say, wait, when you see this, pick it up, bring it back in your luggage. Good.
That's it. But anyway, the daily and Sunday stories. Now, sometimes we talk about how we have or haven't been following these stories daily. I have, purely because I have taken the dark, deep plunge of commenting on Comic Kingdom every day. Now,
every day.
Every day.
Like a week or so ago, I went on there just to have a look, and I saw that Chronicle Chamber had commented. I thought, oh, good on you. And I actually commented myself on one, but it wasn't really about a story. Someone was asking, why is there an asterisk on Jeff Weigel's art? I said, oh, I know that one. And so I went back.
Now, one of the reasons why we've done that, and this we'll get into the stories real quickly, is purely because if you read a lot of the comments, and I don't want to sound derogatory, but a lot of them don't actually know much about the Phantom. And so I figured, why not be and this is going to sound egotistic, I know, to some people, but
egotistical?
My motives are pure in the fact that basically I see it as a challenge to educate some of these commenters about the Phantom. So, for example, the Sunday story, which we're going to talk about next, features past stories in the newspaper, but also Team Phantom Men about the Temple of the Gods. Now, a lot of the guys are talking about, where does this German sub come into it? What's the go? They're not exactly joining the dots. So what we've been doing is basically trying to educate some of these guys regarding the daily story. They're like, who's this Con dude? Who's this Brett Blevins I've been talking about? Where's Mike Manley? And so, we've been writing articles about it. So we put the articles up there, and now people are like, oh, that makes sense, and stuff like that. So that's the reason why we're doing it, is to try and not have the conversations just always negative, because a lot of the conversations are quite negative. We're trying to steer it in the right direction. If people have genuine questions, we will answer the questions. We will fill in information where fans don't, or these readers don't have the information. So that's the reason why we're doing it. Trying to be an expert and trying to help people. So there's been some
power
good
positivity.
Yeah, exactly. And because the way I see it, the more the fans talk about these stories, the better, because then King Features will see that the conversation is high, and then they'll continue on with the stories. So I think it's important that we talk about the stories, whether it's on Comic Kingdom, whether it's on Facebook or Twitter or wherever. Let's talk about them. Talk about what you like. Talk about what you don't like. And let the conversation go. And then, because as long as the conversation is strong, Frew, Team Fantomen, etc., Regal, etc., are continually publishing the stories. We will continue to get these stories. So I think that's important for everyone.
Excellent. So we got the Sunday story, S193, Return of the Temple of the Gods, as Jermaine said. Now, had this started by our last podcast, or?
Yeah, it was about 3 weeks in. So if you give me 2 seconds, I will bring up from where we are.
You've got today's up, because I haven't seen today's yet.
Yeah, we won't do today's right now. So basically, a 2-second recap is Diana and the Phantom see this horror thing that happens. The Phantom tries to leave Diana behind. Diana's like, hey, you may be trying to leave me behind in Team Fantomen stories in the Sunday story, but in the in the daily stories, but in the Sunday stories, I'm alongside you. Stop trying to leave me behind.
That was fun. I liked what she was doing there. And I
And
love it how when Devil turns up, Devil, what the heck are you doing here? When you never disobey me, what's going on? And he hasn't disobeyed you yet either. Then
so this
Diana.
happens here, where he writes a story, he goes into the place, and then Devil, what are you doing on my trail, big fella? I told you to stay with Diana. Exactly what you just said. So it's good. There's some
a bit of fun.
Yeah, and the thing I like about Diana in this, and is she's the Diana that we all read in Cy Barry's stories and Wilson McCoy's stories, where it's the Diana that we all fell in love with. I'm sure we all had a crush on Diana at one stage. I'm sure many of our listeners did. Yeah, she's not gonna say no to something like this. This is a huge adventure. She's an explorer. She's a nurse, and someone who's willing to go on the front line. She was fighting the Japs. She went behind, and she did all this type of stuff.
Say Japanese there, mate.
Japanese. Well, it's better than what they say in the story.
Yeah.
So look, there's a little bit of walking going on. This one here, I like this about where they're talking about their code word.
Equal do nicely, I think.
So there's a bit of fun. There's a little bit of fun in between it. And then this Sunday.
Well, that must be
here.
today's, because I haven't seen
today's the Sunday of recording, which is the 7th of August. So this is where it references the submarine being exploded in the story Eden.
Oh, that's what you were talking about when you said submarine. I hadn't heard that part yet.
And then there's also, this references the first story, which is the daily story, which was the transition between George Olsen, Keith Williams, and Tony DePaul. I'm not sure if people remember, but when they're actually underwater, which is this scene here in the original story, is when Tony DePaul actually took over. So look, I think we've caught up, and I think Tony had to spend a little bit of extra time catching everyone up, because not everyone is going to have this Eden story about the submarine. Not everyone's going to be remembering stories from 2005. which is, 17 years ago. That's a life, that's a generation. So I think this is going to be a little bit longer for some people, because a little bit longer story, because there's 6 previous stories and 30 years of stories that have to be caught up. So it's going to be interesting how this happens.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just catching up by reading this one as you were talking. But yes, you got to catch up on this stuff that's going on. Otherwise, people wondering what the heck's the sub got to do with anything. Yeah,
exactly. So for those who are not quite sure, what we are going to do, I'm not exactly sure how we're going to do it. Not sure whether we're going to pull the stories and actually flick through them and talk about it and do a video, or just do an article. But we will, because there's people on Comic Kingdom, there's people on the podcast that listen to this, I know, that have not read all the stories. So we might do a video and actually just flick through all the stories.
Give a bit of a timeline of that.
Yeah. So we will,
for those who came in late.
We will do for those who came in late, of the Temple of, about to say Doom, but it's not the Temple of Doom. It's
Temple of the Gods, isn't it?
Temple of the Gods.
Wrong 1930s hero.
Yeah. So we will do something like that coming up in the next week or two, which we'll be able to go through, maybe a video of all the stories that you need to be able to know to be able to read this story.
To appreciate it more fully.
Yeah, so we'll do that. Keep an eye on our YouTube or on our website. You can subscribe on our website and you'll get notified of all the latest articles as well. So, anything you want to add about that, or
we're all good, I think, now for the Sundays.
Yeah. What's actually interesting is they have done larger rounded corners for past areas.
There's that bit of a definition when you're talking about the historical stuff.
Yeah, which we've talked about that a lot in the daily story. So it's kind of good to see that in here. And it's just a very subtle little rounded corner, but it kind of, there's that little visual clue.
And very dynamic as well. So adding that little rounded corners. Also, there was a circle panel as well. Just, these little tricks to get to use that space effectively. Jeff's done a wonderful job there. Now we've got talk about flashbacks or things that are happening in the past. Daily 261, the Phantom's End. Are we getting close? Are we seeing where the Phantom may meet his end according to?
Yes, Well, there's a possibility of it ending in yesterday.
Pretty surely he's in the sights now of
and
maybe his would-be murderer.
We'll probably leave that.
He's got him dead to rights.
Kind of rewind a little bit. So we'll kind of go. This is where we ended up last time we did the podcast. So this is back in June, towards the end of June. This is Brett Bleeven's drawing this stuff. Now we've got several.
How many artists have we had in the last couple of months?
We've got Brett, and then we've got Scott. So we've got articles explaining the whole situation. Scott has actually given us the exact dates of when Brett did it himself, and then when he did the layouts, and then when Brett did the layouts, and then when Scott did the finishes and all that. So if you're confused and you're wondering who that is, go to our website and you will have the full story. We've talked to both Mike and Scott, and we've gotten a bit of an insight with what Mike has told us. Mike Manley, who was the original normal daily artist, he has told us that he's back drawing the artwork.
Yep, he's back on board.
I believe it's like this week coming as recording, so that will be the 8th of the 8th, or the week after that his art starts to appear again. So a huge thanks must go to Brett and Scott for helping out. And in talking to them, they've actually known Mike for about 30, 40 years. So
wasn't one of them like his neighbour, just lives down the road?
Yeah, well, they're all local.
Yeah.
So I believe without, I think we were scheduled to talk about this later, but we'll do it now.
It's just turned up.
They were actually bringing him meals, going to visit him daily and stuff like that. And it's great to hear stories like that of when mates are helping out mates. And that's why they did this. They're like, look, we will fill in so you can,
Get better.
recover, get better. And so it's great to see that. So an interesting thing here. So we left off Savannah pregnant with twins again. So not only is the Phantom strong, but so is his. I'm trying to think of a PG version of what it would be.
Seed.
His seed is just
Genetics.
as strong. Yeah. Thank you for that. So,
but you're saying that that's his kids. What if it's not his kids? Just happened to live there in the Skull Cave. Savannah's turned up pregnant and afraid and had nowhere else to go.
That's his children. Okay, so and here's the place again, the Pradesh. A lot of people are saying that's Tibet, that's not India, and people are getting a little bit confused about that. Tony Paul has told us that it is India, and here's another reference to, I'm not sure whether it's done on purpose, but to kind of remove that seed of doubt that this is the place, this is the place where this is happening in India. So we're back in timeline. We've got Old Man Moz going. And then we have a huge gunfight.
This gunfight has this been going for a couple of weeks now, the gunfight?
Went for, I would say probably a good month. Like it started here, the 4th of July, and then we're going through here.
Well, it's still on now.
Typical Stormtrooper style where no one can hit anyone.
Well, the Phantom's hitting.
Yeah, the Phantoms. I think the Phantom's killing here.
Oh, I don't know.
They look like they're being killed.
Actually, I think it says it in one of them.
This is when Scott Kahn takes over, which you can see his credit there. So he talks there. Still in the gunfight. This is a good double page one here. Still in the gunfight. He's definitely killed that person there. There's blood coming out the back. So that's at least 3 people. So we're now up to the 15th. And then we see Kit Jr. not looking so junior anymore. He's a full-grown man with the blonde hair, the big beard, looking quite weathered. And then it says, "Shall I go here?" which is Manju, which is his partner. So the fight's sort of teetering on here. This is an awesome looking thing there with the thing. The fight's kind of finished.
The skull with the Phantom's mask on it. For those of you who aren't watching the video,
it's sorry, audio listeners. And then on the 23rd of July, you've got Manju coming in with a big sniper gun, lining up the Phantom. So, and then you got a bit of cat and mouse with that. And then you've got this here, which is quite interesting. The Phantom's lined up and more gunfight. He's shot in the leg. And then you've got this here where he's lined up and for almost a week.
He's dead to rights in the scope is what's happening there when he's saying, we've got this here. He's lined up in the crosshairs.
Lined up in the crosshairs, very good. And then you've got the flashback, which I guess is what do you call it, a flashback or the life flashing before your eyes.
Yeah.
Diana in
the wedding day,
wedding, Lothar, Mandrake.
Yep.
And then you've got the birth of the twins. Got the Phantom smiling.
I really like that day.
Yeah, it looks like
actually this whole week I've liked.
Yeah, the flashback, I think, has either been I think some fans have really liked it, and I think some fans have not liked it. I personally think it's good because it not only does it give it a bit of a flashback, it also, for those who have come in late, it adds a little bit of information, gives them some information about the fact that Mandrake and Lothar visited them on their wedding, that they've had twins. It kind of fills in a bit of information.
It humanizes him. It tells him his life story, and if he's hearing this story about his death, and he's hearing this from Moz, is he going to reconsider about he's got this family that he needs to look out for?
Yeah. And then you've got this here. This is where it ends of recording. Still lined up, and then Manji goes, "What a man! If only he were on our side," which he is. but she
just
doesn't
don't
know. And then
Mm.
what happens at the time of
We
recording?
don't know what happens.
We don't know. So, what about you? Have you enjoyed this storytelling?
Yes, I have enjoyed this past week. Well, the past couple of weeks, with the gun, and actually seeing gunplay in the dailies. You don't see much of that nowadays. They try and keep very much PC, but no, the gunplay has been full on, and Phantom has copped one in the leg, and he's just sitting there. Would have thought he would have got a better sheltered spot than one that's got a clear line of sight to someone from a sniper rifle. However, you take what you can get. You covered on all sides except one. It just happens to be the side that Manju's on. So let's see what happens tomorrow.
Okay, so obviously we'll know whether we're proven right or wrong by the time this comes out. Is this where the Phantom dies? Yes or no?
In Tony's story, it probably is.
In this story. Does he die?
I hope not. I hope if he dies, I hope they take him up to Kit, and Kit realizes what he's done, and he goes mad and insane and distraught with grief. And
then what? Well, because Moz has already said that he doesn't become the Phantom.
Yeah. Well, he's distraught with grief. He breaks down. He has absolute crisis.
Yeah. So it's interesting. There's been a lot of I feel like, and I'm waiting to be proven wrong on this, but I feel like this is coming to an end.
Yeah, it's wrapping up.
More ways than one. I'm talking about.
I could be wrong. I'm always wrong when it comes to Tony DePaul, but I think this story is wrapping up.
Yeah, the story feels like it's wrapping up, and then we have the decision of, does the Phantom go and rescue?
Should I stay or should I go now?
Now, I've the last two podcasts. Second last time I said yes, the Phantom still needs to rescue her. Last podcast I said no, the Phantom cannot rescue her. I'm still on the no train. What about you? No middle ground. Yes or no?
Yes or no? Should he?
Yes. Should he go rescue Savannah?
Well, the argument for yes would be yes, he should go do it because it's the right thing to do, and he knows now what not to do. And it's just absolutely in his every fiber of his being to go and help someone who needs it. However, there are so many more people that he needs to help. He wouldn't be able to get to Kit. She's one person, but one person is still very important. It's
as a Bible scholar, you would know. Jesus left the 99 to go rescue the one.
I don't know.
Go, when did all this religion get knocked into this podcast?
Should he stay or should he go now? If he stays, there will be trouble. If he goes, it will be double. Or whatever the way the lyric is.
Come on, yes or no?
Savannah, she'll get out of prison. It might not be the Phantom who rescues her.
Yeah, or I think last time we talked, that was Dan's way of having it both ways, was basically taking someone else with you, which basically, and you've probably seen the TV shows and the way they're explaining it, and I think they did it once in Back to the Future as well, is you've got the straight line, which is Moz's storyline, and then if you take someone at the start, it's already starting to diverge, and then by the time it gets to the death, it might be this far away, which means he might not die. So that's the easy way out. But look, I would like to see the fans. Yeah, look, that's what is probably going to happen, but I'd
never say that because Tony will always throw a curveball. Yeah. The only person who knows is Tony and maybe the artist.
Like if it was me, I'll look at it and go, well, this is your children's legacy. Do you really want?
It breaks everything down. He's not going to do it. Yeah. It breaks everything down. Yeah.
Alrighty-o.
Okay, so that's our story is wrapped up. for the month, and now we're into the news. And the first point on the news was Scott calling the second Ghost Stars, but I think we've already spoken about that.
Now, I must admit, I was very proud of myself calling it the ghost behind the Phantom artist. I like
ghosting the ghost.
Yeah, I don't know about anyone else. If anyone else thought it was clever, but I was quite proud of myself for coming up with that one.
Well done, Jermaine. Yep, the golf clap. There we go.
Yes.
Okay.
But look, it's worth digging out that article and having a read of it. Like if you're half interested in nuffy, nerdy stuff like that, go out and give it a read. Also, Scott has been posting on his Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram daily roughs and then the finished product of each daily. I think he's doing it like a day or two behind. And it's worth keeping an eye on that as well, because if you find the article interesting, you'll find this interesting watching
the progress.
The progress as well. So look, a huge thanks to Scott and Mike for letting us know what's going on, so then that way we can let every other fan know who was asking the question as well.
Very good. All right, Phantom Figurines. It seems we've been talking about Phantom Figurines for a couple of years, but how excited am I? I don't have them with me. They're still in the box, but I now have my NECA figures. I've got the Defenders of the Earth, and I've got the Phantom original superhero. I haven't had... They're still in the box because I've been really busy, and when I read our articles and watched the videos that we have on Chronicle Chamber about giving them a bath, it said you need patience, and I haven't had patience this last couple of weeks. I've been pretty busy. But this week, Thursday, I've got the day off work. I'm going to give my figures a bath. I'm going to get them out. I'm going to, pose them. It's going to be awesome. But I was able to get the Defenders of the Earth from Pop Culture, but my other one, the original superhero, can't get it from the shops. You've got to get that one from eBay. So that's where I got that one from. And the guys I got it from, I don't know, some costume thing it said, but I'd ordered it Thursday morning. By the time I got home from work Friday afternoon, it was there. I had it on my desk. It was brilliant. They were...
Is that the same place where I brought mine from as well?
It was one that you told me to go to.
Yeah. It was the same thing. Like, I think it was like 2 days, and it was like, I'm thinking, oh, sweet, what have I got? And I'm like, oh, I ordered that like 2 days ago. So yeah, it was
that's quite a
surprise.
Effort seeing as you live on the other side of the country.
Yeah. So for those who are wondering why it is so hard to find these figures in Australia, in our show notes there will be a link to which we'll explain it. So basically, NECA used to have the license of distribution of their figurines, Phantom and everything else, through Icon Collectibles, which is Pop Culture, which is the major Australia place for vinyls, figurines and stuff. So that contract has been null and void and has ended. So which means that every other place who sells stuff like that hasn't been able to get them through Icon Collectibles, because Icon Collectibles was the distributor, so like the middleman. So a lot of people have had to source it out for themselves, because now there is no Australian distributor of NECA in Australia, which leaves a huge hole, which is the reason why a lot of fans can't get it. You can look on eBay, and you can get them. I think, how much did yours cost? It was about $80.
For what? For just the original superhero?
Yeah, the original superhero one.
$69, I think.
Yeah, so it was about $70, and I think it was including shipping or something.
Yeah, there was free shipping with it. It was a phenomenal deal. Yeah, like I said, Thursday morning, got home Friday, and it was there. It was brilliant.
So if you haven't picked that up yet, hit up Steve, hit up me. I think they had like about 10 for sale. Last time I checked, there was still some there. But go on eBay, you'll be able to find them there. There are some shops like Cult Collectibles and a couple of others that have been able to get some of them in. So you might be able to go there. Then you got Boss Fight Studios. Now, their distributor is a little bit different than NECA, but they had some issues with their Australian distributor. However, that has now been solved, and Cult Collectibles, Pop Vinyl or Pop Collectible, and some other shops have now got Wave 1.5 in, as well as the Hero in as well.
Oh, cool.
From memory, you're looking at about $45 to $50 for the figurines, which is the Phantom in blue and Julie in red. Phantom's
That's 1.5.
Yeah, 1.5.
Yeah.
And then the horse, Hero and a grey Phantom, I believe is anywhere between $90 to $100.
Okay, so my bickies for that one. I wouldn't.
So yeah, and again, if you're wanting to know, if you're in Australia, if you're wanting to know where you can buy those, we do have a link on our website which lists internationally and Australian stores that are bringing these in. Pop culture and cult collectibles. Cult collectibles are great to deal with. I believe if you do any order over $100, you get free shipping. So if you get both Wave 1.5s, that's free shipping. So
it works out well.
Yeah, so it works out well. But go to our website. The link will be in our show notes, whether you're on YouTube, whether you're on your podcast as well.
Very good. It's just great to have these toys, these action figures. It's just great to have them. Unless you're our wives, where you get all this stuff from?
I'm waiting for you to have. I'm waiting for your wife's reaction when she says, "Oh, so what are you doing, hon, with your day off?" I'm having a bath.
I'm giving my toys a bath. Said, "You're effing what?" Okay.
You're taking Kit and Julie to the bath.
No, it's no. Julie's fine. It's Kit and Flash and Mandrake and Ming. They're all going to have a nice little swim together. Moving on, Phantom Showbag. We got a Phantom Showbag again. Frew's put out a Phantom Showbag. It's made its way up to the Queensland Echo Show. From what my understanding is, it's got like some fun stuff from some Frew, like the Garden of Eden poster, some bookmarks. I think there was a Kid Phantom mask from memory, a back issue, all this type of stuff that you'd expect Frew to have in a show bag.
Yeah.
In fact, I think didn't even Dan even predict this?
Yeah, I was debating whether we bring that up or not because he's not here to he's not here to actually.
Well.
Yeah, so look on YouTube you'll be able to see some images. It's it's about, I think it's $30, so it's not cheap. But show bags these days are not cheap. I took my kids to a show recently, late last year, and it's like you can have 2 show bags each. And then I saw the prices, and I'm like, oh man,
you can have one show bag each.
Yeah, I should have really checked the prices.
You can share a show bag between the two of you.
Look, I think what is it? It's $30. I think we worked out that the show bag value was about $35 worth. Right. So it comes with a comic as well, Kid Phantom as well, which I think is important. Look, it's good to see. I would love to see Frew do these when they like at comic conventions as well. Like for instance, I'm just going to say Jamie Johnson because he goes to every single convention, right? It would be, you could do a Jamie Johnson Phantom show bag, right? You could do.
He's got enough work there.
Yeah, he's got enough work. He's got a postcard. He's got he's in the collectors. He's in the cards. He's got comics. You could still chuck in a Kid Phantom. You could do one of the posters. You could do stuff like this, and then that way, when the artists are promoting all this stuff, you can say, look, here's 100 of these show bags, or here's 200. Take them, sell them. Because at the end of the day, all these artists that are at conventions are promoting the Phantom by their posters, by people asking for signatures and sketch covers. Why not take it one step further and do promotional material for these artists? And like even if it's someone new, like let's just say Lauren Marshall, who's good Perth girl, got to promote the Perth people. Even though she's only done the one cover, you can put in a comic of her cover in all of those ones, And then that way she can sign them and she can give the whole show bag. There's the Kid Phantom, there's the other stuff. And then, look, you may not, you've got to get the product out there. And all this stuff is just sitting around in the Frew offices collecting dust.
Well, if it is, I'll take another one of those Eden posters because I know my boy Jeremy wants one.
Yeah, and so I reckon it's just a great way of promoting stuff and promoting
Phantom
the character.
stuff.
Yeah, and look, it's not doing Frew any good. It's just sitting there.
That's right. Get it out there into people's hands. Remember who the character is.
Fans. It's not getting into fans' hands, and it's not getting into future fans' hands and potential fans and old fans who have got a chance to get back into it. I reckon if you gathered 100 Phantom fans in a room or gave them a survey, and the question was, what was your first comic, or like where did you first get your comic, or along those lines, I reckon over 50% would say in a show bag in Australia, Australian fans.
It was the done thing. You went to the show and you got a show bag, and the Phantom was in the show bag.
Oh yeah,
yeah, and not even a Phantom branded show bag. It was like in one of those the greatest show bag in the world or something. You got a comic in there, bang. It was either an old Mad magazine or an old Phantom.
Yeah. And I remember when I and I'd always had Phantom comics around. And then when I became hooked, it's like I had my mini collection. I had 20, 30 Phantom comics already because they were my stepdad's, and they're like, well, they're mine now. And that happened for everyone. You read a comic in a show bag and it's like, oh, this is great. Oh, look, my dad's got a whole pile, or my grandfather's got a whole pile, or my uncle's got a whole pile. And then he gives them to you, and then, you've been a fan. You've been a fan for a week or two, and then you've got a box full of Phantom comics to digest already.
Yep. Excellent. Okay, so hopefully we get to see the Phantom show bags in shows around the country and at conventions. That'll be great.
Yeah.
Next up, the Phantomate has released their Christmas album. No, it's not greatest hits of the Phantom singing Jingle Bells and Here Comes Santa Claus. No, it's the Christmas issue.
Yeah. Yeah. So no, this is Phantomate. So this is the Norwegian version.
Mm-hmm.
So we shared some news about it before. So and there's the cover there. So it's a landscape format again. It's got the Golden Sands of Kilauea, which is a Sunday story, I believe. The Imaginary Playmate, which is another Sunday story, and then the Longo Forest, which is by Tony Paul and Mike Manley. The others were by Cy Barry and Wilson McCoy. It's good to see Norway releasing comics again. Now, I had some fans asking that why they're doing Christmas ones and not regular ones. And I think it was Ivan actually raised this point. And look, give him due, this was a brilliant point that he raised, is that Christmas albums are a big tradition in Scandinavia, Norway and Sweden and stuff like that. So even though you may publish the same amount, if you are publishing the same amount for 10 different titles, that print run is going to be cheaper than if you're printing a regular Phantom issue, if that kind of makes sense. So like you're ordering, okay, I want 10,000 copies, but 1,000 is going to be the Phantom, 1,000 is going to be Modesty Blaze, 1,000 is going to be Hagar the Horrible and Beetlejuice or Beatty Beatley and stuff like that. That order is going to be cheaper than if you're doing a regular comic strip during the year. So it's a great point. Look, small Phantom comics. One of the stories had never been published before in Norway as well. So it's good to see.
Excellent. Staying over in Scandinavia, the 2021 Phantom Best cover has been announced. I'm assuming that the way that's listed here is first, second, and third. Is it, Jim?
It is.
So first prize goes to Henrik Solstrom for, I'm assuming that Jim's about to put the issue up.
Yeah.
Second prize is Henrik as well. And third is Luca Urbetta.
So again, if you're on YouTube.
Yes.
So, interestingly, the Case Remefi one came second.
Came second.
And then the first one is the Phantom, what do you call it, Riding Hero. In that issue
Lightning.
that I told you about, it's actually the poster. So there's another reason for you to get that comic, Stephen, because it comes with a cool poster. You can hang it up in one of your kids' rooms.
Like I said, take a photo of the cover so I know what to show to my brother-in-law.
And then you've got the one of the Phantom in front of the waterfall, which is a beautiful one by
Luca
as well. So the numbers
in his style.
Where were they? Phantom number 1, which is the
Lightning.
Riding the Hero. And then Close Removal, number 21. And
that is by far the winner, isn't it? It's
yeah. Look, have a look at the article that we've posted up. I think it was Mikael Lyck that wrote the article. It's some interesting results. Like, number 1 got 40% of the votes, and then number 2 got 14%, and then number 3 got 10.5. So if you equal that up, where was the analysis? The analysis is somewhere. I can't remember. So, but basically, it's like 60% voted for those 3, which is clear runaway winners.
Yep. Very good, and congratulations to Henrik and Luca. We got a book that you can pre-order.
Yes,
from Mythos.
Mythos over in Brazil. This is actually, by the time we've actually published it and then we've got the podcast, it's actually now out.
Okay.
It is 570 pages long.
570.
That's what they call it, an omnibus.
Omnibus.
It looks like a great issue. Look, if there's anyone out there that has got a copy of this from Brazil who could do regular reviews for us, like Christian, Mikael, Ankit has done for India, Sweden, and Germany, please get in touch with us. We want a reviewer from Brazil. Brazilian comics are still quite hard to get out of Brazil to Australia, so we don't have them. We've been waiting 2-3 years with COVID and political stuff that's going on there. But if there's anyone out there who is confident enough to be able to do a review in English, please get in touch with us. To be honest, we're that desperate that we might even if you are still going to speak it in your native Portuguese, we might even still take it because we want to be able to
just want to see the book.
These comics. Yes, we want to be able to see them. So if there's anyone out there that wants to review it, please get in touch with us. And how can they get in touch with us, Steve?
Through our socials, through Facebook, and also absolutely through email at chroniclechamber@gmail.com.
Thank you for that. So please get in touch with us.
Yes. Okay. The cover has been announced for Heart of Darkness in Sweden, a hardcover book. By the looks of the link here on Chronicle Chamber, Luca Urbetta, the 3rd place winner of Cover of the Year, has got the gig. Yeah,
look, it's an interesting cover. Again, if you're on YouTube, you'll be able to see it. If you're on audio, go to our website. Look, I'm not sure if you remember, or I'm not even sure if you were were you in the podcast with Andreas at the start of the year?
Might not have been.
Okay. So for those who can remember, Andreas talked about a secret project, which he said was going to be the first for a while, and it was going to be an extra publication for the year. This is it. This is what he was talking about, is they've collected all of the Heart of Darkness stories, which Australian readers have just seen, and then they've published it in a hardcover book. Now, it is going to be in Sweden. I believe it's only going to be in black and white and not in colour. But
I think that works for
yeah. I've got a question for you, Steve. And people have been writing into Frew saying, collect the Terror of Python stories in a trade paperback, right?
Yeah.
They've missed the boat with that one. Regal have done it. Now people have said...
I don't think it's finished yet. Those stories still keep going.
But, they haven't done anything yet, right?
Yeah.
Then people have been saying, we want the Heart of Darkness collected into a trade paperback or a hardcover collection.
Mm-hmm.
Now Sweden are doing it. Have Frew dropped the ball a little bit on some of these collective editions that they could be releasing?
I think dropping the ball is probably some stern language there. I wouldn't say dropping the ball.
And they missed an opportunity.
I don't think they've missed an opportunity. It's not like Sweden or who is it, Egmont, whatever, have published them in English. So there's still that opportunity to do it and do it in English so that we can read it. I'd expect them to do a collection of Heart of Darkness, probably in the near future. I wouldn't think they'll be sitting on that for too much longer.
Can you do one? And I guess, yes, it's in Swedish, but can you do one straight away? Like release at the same time?
Why not?
Okay. Yep. I'm literally asking some hard questions, and you
unless there's a embargo or something in regards to the publishing of it, why not?
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think that there's been a lot of interest in Heart of Darkness. Some people were like, I could see the potential. It was hard to follow, with Gaslight. It spread over, 4 or 5 years. I think fans would like to see it. I would like to see it in a collected hardcover book. I believe, like, Marvel imprint and some of these Dark Horse and some of these other publishers are doing some really nice hardcover collections. It's a smaller print run, but I think if you do it right, I think fans will snuff it up. You have a look at Regal. That's next to impossible to pick up. Like Regal only did I think they did 500. I think was the number of those trade paperbacks of of the Terror of the Python, and that's been sold out. Frew sold out within an hour.
All right.
Or an hour or two. It was less than a day. They had sold out. Bam, they went. Yes, it's in English, which helps. Everyone in India loves them. They're in colour. They're in English. They're a brilliant book. We've got a brilliant podcast with Regal as well, so I would recommend digging that one out for those interested as well. I've said it before, but I would like to see Frew doing one graphic novel and one trade paperback or hardcover collection a year. Do one towards the end of the year for Christmas and stuff like that, and another one towards the start, which coincides.
I wouldn't do it at the start because then.
Well, no, I mean more than the
second quarter.
Yeah, second quarter. Yeah.
Yeah, you could be onto something there.
Yeah.
As you're talking, I was thinking, does it matter if it's soft cover or hard? I guess it doesn't matter if it's paperback or hardcover. With hardcover, you were saying, a smaller print run, and that could be a thing. The cost would go up, I assume, being hardcover as well. But it would be a decent book. It definitely would be. But it doesn't. I don't care if it's paperback or hardcover. If I'm being honest.
All right. So now we haven't got a review of this yet. Okay. So this again on our website for those. On video, you'll be able to see me holding up a cardboard box with a picture of the Phantom and Skull Cave. This is the French edition of the Leonard Moberg book. All right. Now, Ohm, again, is going to be doing a review of this. We've got him to do it because he actually speaks French. I don't. I struggle with English. So this is how it arrives, right? This is how it arrives. Now, this is one of the. I'm going to go as far.
You're losing your mind over the box. It's incredible.
I'm going to go as far as to say this is the best Phantom published book ever.
My
all right,
goodness.
So this is just the box. It is a cardboard box that folds out.
It's got all the modern conveniences.
and then it's, kind of stored in there. Now, I'm keeping this box because the box alone is amazing. All right, so let me just put this here. And then it's huge. There's a normal Team Fantomen comic. That's the only one I've got handy. It's about, 40% extra, 30% extra in height and in width, right? And then you've got...
Yeah, it's massive.
It's massive. It's heavy.
So if they do it in that size, are they going to blow up the pictures? Would that stretch the
art? This is... Oh, whoops.
It's big and it's dangerous.
So this is the story here. Again, so there's various stories in here. Again, in French. All these stories have been printed several times in English. And then towards the end, you've got, artwork, original drawings and stuff like that. Now, this is basically sold out. Now, I'm not sure how many copies they did. It cost, I believe, to get it sent from France to Australia, you're looking at about $150. All right? So it's not cheap. But if you're a collector of the Phantom and you're enjoying hardcover collections, this is a must in anyone's collection. Now, I've talked to several people in Europe, Australia, and Sweden, and they all just said, I don't care that I can't read this. This is an amazing publication. How much more would something like this that was in a, and I don't want to, again, this is going to sound egotistical, in a universal language like English, i.e. in a
French
sense
is
that,
also universal.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, like anyone...
But yes, if it was in English, it would be incredible. A much more wider speaking, well, we like to think so anyway.
Yeah.
You may have swayed me. A Heart of Darkness done in a full hardcover. I'd be interested about the stretch, if it's going to be the full page, how that's going to work with the artwork. Will they just have to blow it up and that'll be fine, or what will go on there? Because you hear things from artists who don't like the work stretched and compact and whatever. So look after that and make sure it's done well. Have a phenomenal cover. If it comes with a cardboard box that's like that, okay, you're swaying me, Germ. Rightio, Fruit.
The cardboard box is amazing.
Just get onto it. Something that they can do. I hope they could do. I was thinking, on the cheap, if the paperback, everyone can have access to it. But how many pages is that French one?
Like it's heavy.
It's you're having a workout every time you pick it up.
Yeah.
Check out those guns. Nice thick paper too.
Yeah, like you could probably hear it. So I'm just trying to.
It's usually down the bottom of the page there.
Oh, really? Is that where they stick it? No, because they don't have any on the back bits. So.
I gotcha. Sorry, I was stirring up for no reason.
Where the story ends, it's 272. So there's probably another 20 pages there. So it's close to 300.
Because I was wondering what size that was. Because if Heart of Darkness is a bit over 300, so do something about that size. Okay,
look, that's an extreme. That, like I said, this is the best Phantom publication I've ever seen. Right?
The gauntlet's been,
and so I don't expect. Exactly. The standard's now been set. That's deluxe. 150 Australian to get it, posted. That's a lot of dough. Not everyone can afford that.
Like that's the book and postage.
Yeah. And
so what would be for Frew to do? What do you reckon?
Look, it would be at least if Frew would do something like that for Australian readers, it will at least be 100, maybe 100, 120. You
reckon? 120. We don't have to do the postage.
Well,
I reckon between 80 and 100.
Okay, but still, it's about $100 within that ballpark. Now, you're not going to sell 40,000 of those books.
No.
You might.
You gotta make it worth the while.
Yeah,
That's why you need to put the price up.
Yeah. Look, and I don't have all the answers, but it's just that I got this book. Like I was umming and ahhing about the book, and then there was a group of us that all brought it, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll do it. I'll jump on board as well. And then I get it. I get the cardboard box and I'm like, whoa! And then I open it up and it's like, whoa!
You really have lost it with the cardboard box. Oh. It's quite a special cardboard box.
That's a collectible item in itself.
Yeah. You haven't even folded it up properly. Oh, goodness.
I'll do it after the podcast. We'll get onto the podcast. But
Heart
look, Gauntlet's
of
been
Darkness.
thrown down.
Yep.
I don't expect everything to be done like that, but I really do think there is a market for high-end Phantom publications.
Yeah.
Sweden apparently going to do one with their Heart of Darkness. I am going to be getting myself one of those. It'll be interesting whether, obviously, the Gauntlet has been thrown down.
Okay. Rightio. So let's see. We await on the Frew crew's reply. That's all the news. We're up to, apart from, I'm about to say that's all the news that is news, but no, we've got one little bit of news. Anyone who's been on our website will notice that there's been a slight little change. There's no more jungle. You're no longer lost in the jungle in the background. It's nice and clean and clear. The articles are still there, but just a bit of a web design tweak.
Yeah, look, have a look at the website if you haven't seen it already.
Feedback is it works well on the mobile devices now too.
Yeah. I think that was the biggest feedback that we've received, is that it functions so much better on mobile. I think from memory and looking at the web stats, about half our audience view it on a tablet or on a mobile. So, it's something that we wanted to focus on. Look, most fans seem to like it. One fan didn't like the little pop-up to put your email subscription in, but it's there to annoy you. That is the whole purpose of it. So that way, you put in your email address, and that way you've been notified of when latest articles come up. Yeah, exactly. So look,
so good on you, Jermaine, for sorting that out.
Yeah, thanks. But I think that's everything, Kay. We've done it in an hour and a half.
Under an hour and a half. I thought, geez, we're going to get it under an hour, but no, we talked a little bit more about the stories. I thought, rightio. But we got it under an hour and a half. Okay, and we've already got a couple of podcasts in the can ready to go. You've already recorded a chat with the man trying to bring the Phantom into the future, plus chats with cosplayers, upcoming introduction to a secret project we have been working on. What secret project? What have we been working on?
Oh, should we tell everyone?
Yes. No. Secret. No. That's right. I really honestly thought, what? Because there hasn't been a secret over here. We've been on it for ages. And if you have any ideas or creators that you would like to see interviewed or re-interviewed, please contact us. Check out our website.
How can they contact us, Stephen?
Well, they can check out the website, chroniclechamber.com. They can email us, chroniclechamber@gmail.com. You can hit us up on the socials. The socials aren't written here on the run sheet, but if you go to Facebook and search Chronicle Chamber, you'll find us, or even Phantom Collector. If you go to Twitter, are we just Chronicle Chamber on Twitter as well?
I think we're Phantom or Chronicle at tweets or Phantom in tweets or something like that.
Sometimes I go on Twitter and then I don't go on it for months, so I'm not much of a twit. It depends who you ask. We're on Insta. We're on YouTube. Check us out. We'd love, thank you so much for our patrons. If you want to be a patron, we're always going to accept you, that's for sure. And we're always looking at ways, it's not a one-way street. We're always looking at a way of giving you more things to you.
Now, Stephen, for those who are wondering, what is a Patreon? Tell us in 30 seconds or less.
A patron is someone who supports, it could be a website, it could be a podcast, a group that you enjoy. It could be creators, that sort of stuff, musicians, artists, whatever it is. They have a little monthly subscription, little monthly donation, if you like. Those goes towards the group, for their costs. Could be their website costs or whatever. And often the creators, or in our case, the web hosts, will give you a little bit extra in return. So it might be a bonus podcast, or maybe not a bonus podcast, but a bonus, or you might get the podcast earlier than everybody else. And in our case, we actually got the P3, the Phantom Preservation Project, which you can only access if you're a Patreon, which has got an absolute vault load of stuff in there of Phantom history from years gone by. Quite the treasure trove. Quite the major treasure room, you might even say.
Very
Or
good.
maybe just, yeah.
And then every Patreon got a Phantom wristband.
You might notice that
June, July.
not even all the hosts of the podcast have a Phantom wristband right now. So Patreon's a very exclusive bunch.
Yes.
Hint, hint, Phantom wristband.
Yes. It's in the mail. But hey, enjoyed chatting with you, enjoyed hanging out with you, talking fandom. It's been a pleasure. All the listeners out there, thank you for listening to us. Hope you enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed some of the reviews from the German comics and everything else as well. From myself, thank you. Stay safe. Happy Phantom.
Yes, happy fanning, everyone. And remember, you can always to like and subscribe us on YouTube, and always please subscribe to us on your favourite podcast apps, which include iTunes, Spotify. But from me, happy fanning.
Will follow me, so evildoers will believe that this man cannot die. The Phantom, the ghost who walks. The Phantom, enemies beware. The Phantom's always there, but you won't find the Phantom. He finds you.